Okay, it is time for a back garden tour. This is Kate. Welcome to Blooms in the Yard. Today I'm going to try to do a tour of my back garden. This is a little area next to my patio. I kind of started in the middle, but that's okay. These heuchera, I don't know if you'll be able to see them very well, but the fuzzy kind of fairy-like blooms are kind of fun right now. I really like this heuchera next to the Japanese painted ferns because they have that same purple. The Japanese painted ferns have that same purple in them. And so I really like those colors together. Sorry, the waterfall's going. We've had so much rain. It's such a blessing. But it might be kind of loud. These begonias that someone gave me are doing really well. She has them just in her garden and they come back every year. Obviously they must come back from seed, right? So I'm curious how they're going to do. I'll be excited if they do come back, but she had like a whole area of them. It was really beautiful. And I just have this is some pink columbine. I do have a rose of Sharon that I stuck back here. It's just a plain old rose of Sharon, nothing special, but I saw it growing in the shade on a walk that I go on. And so I decided, well, if it'll bloom there, it should bloom in my yard. And sure enough, it's a lot better than the invasive honeysuckle, which is what I took out. And of course, it's coming back in some places, but we're slowly working on taking the invasive honeysuckle out. There's a big old spider. You won't be able to see it. Let's see. I've got this ivy. I didn't plant the ivy, but it has made its way here, and I don't really feel like there's much I can do about it. I did want to show you, though. So I have a clematis growing on this structure. In my head, it was going to be really pretty. I know it doesn't look that great, but the clematis has decided to grow over here. So this is all the clematis. And that actually looked kind of pretty when it was blooming. It doesn't bloom a lot because this is a shady spot, but it did bloom a little bit and it looks kind of cool. And I really don't mind this kind of crazy stump here. It's like a little fairy tale feel to me. Here's our waterfall. And then over here, there are some stepping stones here where this vinca is, but they're kind of covered up. But you can walk there if you're adventurous. Over to this bench, which you can see it's got some branches on it. Obviously, we don't go over there all that often. And then here we have a big red bud tree. It's got a lot of character. I have some fun pictures of my kids in this tree from when they were little. There's I think that might be a regal hosta. It was here when we moved in. There were a couple of hostas here. And then I put in, this looks like kind of smashed down or something. Kind of interesting. This usually looks really full, but this is the big root geranium. I do have a hellebore hiding in there. And then my turtle head is starting to get some buds. So I'll be really excited when that starts blooming. And I do dig some of this out around the edges, so it would be even spreading bigger than this if I didn't keep it under control. This hosta is a stained glass hosta. Another columbine that's seeded down there. And then this is chip, ajuga. It's actually doing well. Ajuga's kind of hit or miss for me. I need to maybe deal with this creeping Jenny a little bit getting into the yard, but ooh, spider web. Sorry. Ah. Oh no, we don't like that. No. Let's see how attached this is. Oh yeah, it's getting pretty attached. Ooh, look at that. Look at that pretty moss. Love that. I might have to come in here and deal with this creeping Jenny. In the past, when the creeping Jenny gets into the yard, then in the spring, I can just dig it up and I have some free plants for my pots or for another area of my yard. So it hasn't ever been a big problem. I think somebody warned me to be careful with the creeping Jenny, but to me it seems to be pretty easy to just pull out. So I'm not too worried about that. But I do love these creeping things coming over my wall. Then I have a couple of heuchera in here. And then my climbing hydrangea, which was just moved here last fall, so it needs some time to get going. I had to remove it from where it was before. My Annabelle hydrangeas. In here I have some astilbe, a boxwood. This is the astilbe, which I kind of like those pretty leaves even after it's done blooming. This is a phalictrum, or it's a black stockings phalictrum. I can't remember the other. Meadow rue is the other name for it. There's a big spider web here. Otherwise, I would get back in there and look at my hypertufa pot, which has some heuchera growing in it. If I was a good plant mom, I would cut those Annabelles out and give that some room to grow. Then everybody might be getting tired of me talking about my Alice oak leaf, so I'm not gonna focus on it too much today, but it's really starting to turn pink, you can see. Some spots are getting a little bit brown, but for the most part, it's looking pretty pink. So I've done a decent job watering it this year. I'm going to back up so you can see the area as a whole. And I'm definitely not a planner when it comes to gardening. I stick things in a place like, oh, I bought that plant because I wanted that plant. There's a hole in this spot in my garden. And then I move things around later. So things get moved around a bit. And things are maybe not always in the most logical place. It's funny because I am definitely a planner in real life. Not that this isn't real life, but I'm definitely a planner in other areas of my life. But when it comes to the garden, I'm just like, just let things do what they're going to do. And I'm just a little more casual about it. Maybe that's why I love gardening so much, because it's an area where I allow myself to just be relaxed about things. This is an anemone. I've been keeping it covered, and I have an anemone plant for the first time ever because I've kept it covered from the rabbits. The question is, what do I do now? It's kind of like now or never to take this cover off, right? Because as soon as these blooms open, I'm not going to be able to take the cover off without injuring them. but there have been a lot of bunnies in this area. So I might leave the cover on and see if it can poke all of its blooms through there. I don't know if you can see, but there's quite a few blooms inside of it. So yes, I have some catmint here, which I will be moving. It's just not enough sun. Some coleus. Got some things hiding back in here. A tiarella. I should just trim this back a tiny bit to help that out. And then the stilby. Then I have a Rigucci clematis, which seems like it wants to bloom on the other side. Like a lot of the blooms are facing the fence, so it's not ideal. Let's see. Sorry about that sun. Oh, the lamium that I planted in here is coming up, and I didn't realize it because it's mixed in with that catmint. So I might want to think about taking that catmint out sooner than I planned, or maybe cutting it back some more. This is a columnar Japanese maple, so it should get pretty tall. Gosh, what's it? Probably it's 8 to 10 feet tall now. Then this, see if I can get out of the sun here. This arborvitae is taller than I am, so I would say 7 feet tall. These kaleidoscopobelia I put in are looking about the same as when I put them in, so no worse for the wear. This St. John's wort has some pretty water droplets on it today. And then those balloon flowers back there have really flopped over. After I put the kaleidoscopobelia in, I realized, okay, this area probably has too much lime green now. I mean, I kind of saw that when I watched the video. I really like the curly marjoram where it is. So I might think about, let's see, I'm just gonna get that out of there. I might think about moving that sage somewhere else and maybe putting something more red, some red foliage back there, or just thinking about how I would change that. Looks like I've got some bindweed coming up in my, yeah, I've always got bindweed back here. This spot, it just always comes back. This is my brandywine viburnum, and unfortunately, just like every other year, the berries have not lasted, but at least the leaves are looking better than they have in the past. So it has earned itself at least one more year in the garden. So we talked about the curly marjoram. This is a mugo pine, and then a variegated sage. This big root geranium gets a little more sun than it would like to get, but it does look really nice in the spring. And then I have a wisteria, which is throwing out a couple extra blooms in July. Oh, I see a Japanese beetle in there. Luckily, there's no Japanese beetles out when it blooms in the spring. So, finding blessings. I also have a morning glory starting to come up through here. I've had a morning glory here last year and it reseeded. So this area is kind of a mess. I have a goldenrod here, and it's a cliff goldenrod. It sort of likes to hang over. And so my intention was that it would come this way, like come forward and lay right here. but plants never do what you want them to, so it's going towards the path. And then you can see here that a rabbit got some of it. So it's definitely not doing what I wanted it to do, but maybe in the future I can help it go the direction I want it to go a little bit better. So I'm not giving up on having it there yet, but it's not looking how I'd like it to look this year. We have this red flint ageratum flopping over, not looking fabulous. I cut this one back, you can see. So I probably won't mess with that again unless I maybe put it maybe in the mailbox garden where it can flop, and I don't know. And maybe get a little more sun up there. But then in some places it looks like it's too dry, so who knows. This Dragon Prince Cryptomeria looks pretty good. Looking a little bit better than it has in the past, which tells me that maybe what it wants is water, because we've had a lot of water. Then I have this Russian sage. This whole area just looks sort of terrible to me, but it's always kind of been a struggle. And so I'm just going to keep working on it. Here I have a little, I think it's blue ice or baby ice, something like that. Juniper. And then in here, oh my. So there's a dahlia that came back from last year and didn't even look like it last year. I should have just dealt with it sooner. This spirea looks terrible. I just need to deal with this area, basically. Then I have this crepe myrtle. It has like reddish blooms. And then we have morning glory and honeysuckle and hyacinth bean vine all growing on here. I think the morning glory is going to win out, although I see some honeysuckle at the very top. So that's good, because the honeysuckle is a perennial. So I think if I kind of let everything do what it's going to do this year, and then next year I'll hopefully have enough honeysuckle to just let it be the star and won't let anything else grow there. I have these 3 pots, which I talked about in my container tour, so I'm not going to go over them overly much. A lot of things need to happen in there. I might need to add that to my list of things to work on. It looks like my neighbor might have a mulberry tree growing, so that could really change my landscape. I get some shade, and I'm never going to complain about shade. I love shade, so I would actually not complain at all if that became all shade. Okay, over here, I put this patio in because the only place to really hang out was on the deck, and it just felt so removed from the garden, and I wanted a place that was in the garden. I wanted to sit in the garden, so that's why I put this patio here. So before this was grass. I did that maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And I just built that little wall so it would feel a little bit sort of intimate and enclosed. We've got a lot of vinca, if anyone's wondering what that ground cover is. A lot of people hate the vinca. I find it to be very easy to pull out. so it doesn't bother me at all. It is Vinca minor, and it has lots of purple blooms in the spring. Then I have this summer gold or summer moon, I can never remember, Japanese maple, and then a little arborvitae there. Now I planted this one and another one in my front yard at the same time. This one's about half the size because it's in full shade. And then that new growth on that red bud I need to get rid of. So that lime green is just red bud that needs to go. And then I have my Solomon seal, which I really love, especially just by this bench. I don't know why. I just really love that. There's another Japanese maple here. It is a coral bark Japanese maple. And it was growing over by my air conditioner. It was struggling. I just needed to move it somewhere, so I put it here. And then after the fact, I remembered that I wanted to be able to have a view of the waterfall from the patio. And so, yeah, I pretty much kind of put that right in the way. I could still see it now, but depending on how much that Japanese maple grows in the future, it may block the waterfall. Like if you're sitting on the bench right here, that's your view of the waterfall. So that, I didn't think that all the way through, but that's a coral bark maple, the Sango cactus. Oh, something just ran by. I think it was a chipmunk. I didn't see it. Then I've got this container, which again, I went over in my container tour, but it's got coleus, purple basil, and some annual geranium. There's a couple other things in there, but you can't see them right now. These coral bells are not doing that great right now. I'm not sure why. I think they heaved a little bit in the winter. And then there's creeping Jenny also underneath this Himalayan white birch. A lot of people call it what is that? A river birch, but it's a white birch, so a little bit different. Really sunny right now, but I've got a boxwood hedge around the air conditioner and 3 little quick fire hydrangeas. Everything's loud today. The air conditioner, we're just gonna ignore that potted plant because it just needs to be put to rest. 3 boxwoods behind our chairs here, just to give us kind of close that area in a little bit for us. And then I have 3 hellebores kind of between the boxwoods, and then a lot of creeping Jenny. The hellebores could definitely stand to be trimmed up a little bit. You know, here I was so proud of how well this one was doing, and now I'm not so sure. But we have some more of the heuchera, and those are purple pallas. I bought 10 of those on sale, a good deal, a couple years ago, and they've done pretty well. Then I have this coleus that I kind of have growing everywhere. There is a Japanese maple in here, which I am protecting from the bunnies until it gets bigger. It was Steve something, so I'll have to look up the name of that. And the theory is that this hydrangea is wee white. That's what someone suggested to me. It's definitely a smooth hydrangea. It's definitely not what it was labeled. So we'll go with wee white until we figure out otherwise. Back there, I think that's I want to say dancing queen hydrangea. I might have to look that up. And then some turtle head that I transplanted from my other patch. That area, basically, it's only got about 6 inches of dirt, and then you hit a big boulder. So those plants are never going to get as big as they would, but if they stay alive, I'll be happy. Here I have a big patch of variegated vinca in front of my fountain. I just kind of like the look of that. The variegated vinca, if we have not too harsh of a winter, that can pretty much stay evergreen. And then below that, I have some ajuga, which was given to me. I love the different ground covers. We've got the creeping jenny, the ajuga, and the variegated vinca. Then I have some water hyacinths growing in this fountain, and oak leaf hydrangea. I have 3 June hostas in here, which I'm a big fan of that particular hosta. Then just some begonias with my boxwood, and then this, I think they're called Eastern cedars. They grow wild here, and I have left it, and I'm just training it to be kind of tall and skinny. This is a Invincible ruby hydrangea growing in front of Japanese maple. Oh, what's that one that everybody has? I'm forgetting, but it's that red one, Bloodgood. There's a hosta back there. I believe it's Francis Williams, and it was much larger when I planted it there. I moved it from somewhere that was suddenly getting a lot of sun, and again, it's kind of growing in rocks and not a lot of dirt, so it's not going to be huge. Here I have some primrose that bloom in the spring, a little bit of coleus, some wild ginger, or Canadian ginger, I think it's called. And then these are incredible hydrangeas. I do think it helps a little bit with the flopping that they're a little bit raised up. So you can see there's a rock wall behind the ginger. So that does help a little bit with them flopping on these hostas. I'm not sure what that hosta is, but this is another hosta June. And then I have some sweet woodruff and some ajuga. There is a tiny little hosta in there. The little hostas don't grow that well for me, so I tend to buy the kinds that are supposed to get massive, and then if they're medium-sized, that's okay. There is a clematis there that's not looking fabulous right now. Some more ginger. These plants were given to me. Someone had them in rooting in water inside their house, and they've done pretty well for me. They're starting to fill in the pot. I'll be excited to see what color they bloom. I think they had a bloom on them. They were maybe peachy. Just got a pot back there with a caladium, a coleus, and an angel wing begonia. The sun's starting to shine over here. I have a drinking gourd hosta. Oh dear. This poor Japanese maple. Needs to be set free. Okay, this Sun King Aurelia has a couple branches that don't look super happy. But yeah, this is the Sun King Aurelia. It's getting pretty big. I'm probably gonna take out the Annabelle hydrangea that's behind it. And then, yeah, not great lighting here right now, but I've got an Annabelle hydrangea, a hosta. These yellow leaves are a celandine poppy that's definitely done for the year, and I can just cut that down. Here's a cute little fern, which was given to me. And then really hiding back in here, we've got, believe it or not, there's a yew in there and a hellebore. So, okay, I need to start making a list of areas that need to be cleaned up, and this is definitely one of them. This Brunnera looks really nice. Really enjoying that. I love Brunnera. A boxwood, a yew, some of this archangel, my ground cover, and then another Annabelle hydrangea. And then look at that. Let's take a look. This was the snake area, so I'm being cautious. Look at how white that is. Of course, the sun is shining on it, but that's another Brunnera. All right, let's see. Let's take a look over here. Oh dear. Yeah. Let's see if I can. So this is, oh gosh, Invincible Lace hydrangea. But what I said oh dear about is the hanging basket has attacked the Brunnera. So I hope it's not killing the Brunnera. I might deal with that real quick. In this area, I have one blue hosta and a bunch of like lime green hostas. There is, now this Brunnera is not as happy. I'm not quite sure why, but I am excited that these impatiens have started to do a little bit better over here and flower. For a long time, they just weren't doing anything. Let's see if we can back up here so you can see that the hanging basket is in the Brunnera. Sorry about the bad lighting. I might take a little break and save the Brunnera and come back. It looks like I got lucky because it kind of landed between plants. I just set it right here for now. I'm gonna have to figure something else out because that's like the second time that's happened. So I think that shepherd's hook, it just can't take how much water that basket's getting. It's getting really heavy. Okay. Let's see. This area is a favorite of mine. Love the little bench. It was just a free found item that was given to me. This blue hosta on the right with some impatiens. And then I have a fern leaf bleeding heart, which I've had more luck with. It seems like no one else has trouble with bleeding hearts, but I definitely do. So if you have trouble with bleeding hearts, maybe try the fern leaf one. Then I have, this is a hellebore, and the hosta whee, W-H-E-E, like we're going on a ride. The pink on that oak leaf hydrangea to the right looks pretty. And then we have the incredible hydrangeas and some ferns. And this is a Francis Williams hosta. Over there under the deck is more of this big root geranium. And then some creeping jenny. And this is a waterfall Japanese maple. So this is that bright green hosta and some ajuga. There was a path in there. There is a path in there, but the oak leaf ended up growing over it, so I don't really use it anymore. To be fair, the oak leaf was there first, and then the path was a total afterthought. I had these rectangular stones, and so I thought, oh, a path would look cute there. So I wasn't, it's not like we really needed a path there, but I just thought it would look cute. So I'm not too upset that we can't really use the path now, but I still think it looks kind of nice, and I'm happy to have a big, healthy oak leaf there.
Here you can see the size of the oak leaf when I first put in the path.
Here I just have a little bit of seed I'm filling in, a blank space. And then a little bit of impatience. This is a Sweet William native. Hiding in here we have a Christmas fern, some impatiens, a pulmonaria, and a Jacob's ladder. We keep going. There's another impatient and a little fern and a blue hosta. Here we just have a lot of incredible hydrangeas. I like that from the deck, you see them peeking up. And then this is the Invincible Spirit, and I am going to move that, which I've talked about in other videos, to give this oak leaf some more space. I might move the Invincible Spirit over here where that catmint is that's not getting enough sun. In here I just have some impatiens. There is a hellebore in there, a hosta, some big root geranium. You see there's the hellebore. There's a little tiny hellebore flower. And then I have this container, which it's really sunny to try to see this right now, but it's morning sun and it's a morning glory, so it's only going to bloom in the morning. So at least it's sunny, but we can actually see the blooms for once. Here we have some impatiens and coleus, and then here's the morning glory. I think we've got a couple of blooms over here as well. So, yep, sure thing. I gave it some Miracle Grow in that pot and it starts blooming again for me. If you've grown the morning glories that have the big blue flowers, the nice thing about this variety is that it blooms much earlier. Those other ones you have to wait pretty late in the season. I can't believe the amount of cicadas I'm hearing at 11 a.m. Usually you expect that more at night. So if that's loud, we'll see. I wanted to show this little Japanese maple. I got this originally with the intention of planting it in the ground, and then, like I sometimes do, I forgot that the rabbits really eat the Japanese maples. So once they get to a certain size, the rabbits, can't really eat them anymore, but especially when they're brand new, they're very vulnerable to the rabbits. So I decided to go ahead and put this in this pot. Loving the sort of bonsai-y nature of it, the bent stem. It is a Japanese maple that would normally lay down on the ground, right? And so I've staked it up. The water, all the rain has kind of washed the dirt away from the roots. So I'm actually surprised it's doing as well as it has. But to me, that kind of adds to that bonsai feel. So if it continues to do okay, I'll probably leave that. This container I got just at a thrift store. I don't even know what it is, like pewter, silver, like I don't know, but it's a good heavy duty metal. It did have holes in it already. This is Dragon Master. And so I did get it from Mr. Maple, and if you look online, it looks really pretty with the leaves kind of cascading over, you know, maybe a little slope or a brick wall. And so that was kind of my intention, but then I remembered the rabbits are going to eat the leaves if I do that. So I'm having to rethink the original plan. But look at the new growth here. That's one of the things I love about Japanese maples is the new growth is really pretty on a lot of the varieties. This cotton candy fern is trying to hang in there. And this double begonia looks okay. The whole thing kind of looks too big for the container. A little bit disproportionate. I could trim that coleus down. I have my lady's head. I just call it lady's head. I should come up with a cuter name for it. This guy could use something. I haven't figured out what. I trimmed it back and now it's just really strange. Then I have this little Japanese maple lollipop. I did a video. I took a video of that like a couple weeks ago, so I might edit that in here. Okay, how cute is this little guy? This is a Mikawa Yatsubusa. Hope I'm saying that right. Japanese maple. I just got it about a month ago from Mr. Maple, and it's tiny. So I just put him in this sweet little terracotta pot, and he's just gonna live on my deck this year. After I ordered it, and I knew it was a little one, but I was planning on putting it in the landscape, but after I ordered it and got it, I remembered that the bunnies like to eat down leaves that they can reach. So you can see back there, I didn't limb that up. The bunnies ate everything that was on the bottom trunk. It used to go all the way down. So if I put this out in the landscape right now, I am not confident that the bunnies wouldn't eat it like in a day or two. So it's gonna stay here for now, I think for the summer. And then the problem is it can't overwinter in this pot in our climate. So my options are, one, bury the pot, or two, plant it in the ground, and then I would put some sort of bunny cage around it over the winter. This planter doesn't look much better than it did when they showed it on the container tour. But the black-eyed Susan vine did start blooming a little, so that's something. And I do just have a little lantern back there. This is one of my favorite views of the yard. Basically, when people come onto the deck, they end up right here, just kind of surveying it all. And you can really see it all. Now, I used to be able to see the waterfall from here, but I've really let this tree, the more it's rained, the lower that branch has got. So the waterfall is just on the other side of those branches that are hanging down. So that's obviously something that needs to be dealt with. But I love that we have all these incredible hydrangeas at the bottom of the deck. And then you can just really survey the whole yard from here. There's that branch that's way too low. And then I have my one sunny corner of my backyard is over here. And actually, this side of the yard, which has always been really deep shade, is going to be getting a lot more sun now because we trimmed our oak tree. About a week after we trimmed our oak tree, the neighbors came and actually cut all of the branches off of this cottonwood, which I'm not going to complain about because the cotton was really annoying. But wow, so that is going to make a huge difference in getting all of this west sun. We'll still get some shade, but we're definitely going to be getting a lot more sun now, which is okay because before it was zero sun. So now we will get a little more west sun and we won't have the cotton. I'm not quite sure about their decision to leave that much of the tree. I would definitely prefer they'd cut it down a little bit more, but they were doing it themselves, so it was a little bit risky. And I noticed that our chairs are kind of broken, which they were in bad shape, but now they're definitely not really usable at all. So that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, these Annabelle hydrangeas, which have never really gotten any sun, are going to be getting a lot more sun. And like, I'm not worried. My husband was worried that it's going to get way too much sun, but I think it's only going to just help and it's not going to be a terrible thing. This is our big oak tree, which I'm so thankful for. I love big trees. I love shade. And you can see that we really have most of our shade comes from this oak tree, and then there are some other large trees in the creek. But now that cottonwood was a big part of the shade. But you know what? I think now our oak tree can fill in there, right? So that'll be good for it. And the vine growing on that trellis is the sweet autumn clematis, and it has reseeded, so there's quite a few plants now. Okay, I am going to end our tour here. Thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the tour and got some fun ideas for your own garden.